One of my favorite things about Breath of the Wild is its unique way of storytelling that parts it from the other games in the series. Instead of feeding the player more and more story the further they progress, Breath of the Wild's main story is told throughout the world itself. One of my favorite examples of this is the Silent Princess flower, a rare, endangered species that can only thrive out in the wild. You may also recognize it as a flower that resides within the game's logo, but what exactly does this flower signify? Well, the game actually never tells the player its significance, but that doesn't mean that there is none. Because of this, most people probably looked over this detail, despite it being one of my favorites in the series. So today, I will be explaining the significance of this flower and how it ties in perfectly with Zelda's story. So sit back and let's get right to it. To understand the significance of the flower, we must first understand the character of Zelda. Ever since she was about 6 years of age, her father has constantly made sure that she spent every day of her life dedicated to prayer, with the hopes of gaining access to the sacred sealing power that can be used to seal away Calamity Ganon. Despite her vigorous efforts, she has yet to awaken this sealing power. As the years go by, she feels more and more guilt, not only for letting down her father, but also from the entire kingdom of Hyrule. In order to cope for this guilt, Zelda takes a keen interest about the newly founded ancient Sheikah tech and the Guardians, only to again be scolded by her father for not focusing on her training. Zelda's feelings of unfulfillment only grew when she thought of Link. The two of them have always been hard at work when it came to training to fulfill their destinies, but unlike Link, Zelda has absolutely nothing to show for her hard work. This causes her to act jealous of him, and in some cases, even somewhat hostile. However, after Link stepped in to save Zelda's life from the blades of the Yiga clan, Zelda's perception of Link changed completely, and she decided to open up to him about her situation, as did he. Zelda realizes that Link is in a similar situation as she is, as they both feel anxious of fulfilling their destiny, with all eyes in the kingdom on them. Although Zelda isn't prepared for a confrontation with Ganon like Link is, she is now more willing and able to work with Link in order to awake her power. Even though Zelda continues to train vigorously, her power still isn't activated by the time Calamity Ganon reawakens. As an unexpected move, Ganon finds a way to corrupt all the Guardians to fight for him instead of against. The only available solution to counter this move was for Zelda to use her sealing magic to disable these Guardians, but unfortunately, she has still yet to obtain it. Ganon, now an unstoppable force, laid waste to the kingdom, killing everyone in the castle, including her father and even the champions. Zelda and Link are now powerless, forced to run away from the fight. As Zelda is overencumbered with the grief of Hyrule's demise being her fault, Link fights vigorously against the onslaught of Guardians within an inch of his life. He tries so hard to the point that he is no longer able to defend her any further, despite the two being surrounded by dozens of Guardians. At the brink of death, Zelda has an emotional epiphany, realizing that Link has been a compassionate and loyal companion to her his whole life, and it is the only thing left in the world that she has left to lose. She realizes that Link has done her part in getting her this far, and it is now her time to step up and make up for what she has done. This exact realization is what awakens her sealing power, disabling every single Guardian around them. Although she was too late to save Link's life, Zelda is now ready to confront Calamity Ganon and contain him within the castle. Zelda knows that it will take over 100 years for Link to revive, regain his memories, and prepare him to help her take down the beast for good. But her severe dedication along with her sealing power allows her to hold the beast at bay for that long. Now, you may be wondering, how exactly does the Silent Princess flower tie into any of this? For starters, there is actually only one scene in the entire game that mentions anything about the flower. Here, take a listen.
This one here is called the Silent Princess. It's a rare, endangered species. Despite our efforts, we can't get them to grow domestically yet. The princess can only thrive out here, in the wild. All that we can hope is that the species will be strong enough to prosper on its own.
Despite their efforts, they cannot get them to grow domestically yet. The princess can only thrive out here, in the wild. This line correlates near perfectly with Zelda's story that I explained earlier. Although the king puts loads of effort into dedicating Zelda's life towards prayer, none of that helped her out at all, and instead, she developed her sealing power on her own, out in the wild. Despite the king's good intentions for her daughter to fulfill her destiny, that was actually doing her a disservice, as her powers came naturally from her love for Link, which is a force that cannot be domesticated. When Link meets up with Zelda after rediscovering his memory, they are both now willing and able to work together to take down the beast and seal him away. At the very end of the final cutscene, the camera pans away from the two celebrating their victory, overlooked by a massive hillside filled with silent princesses. This once rare and endangered species has now gotten the opportunity to flourish out in the wild, which is a direct correlation towards Zelda's story. Therefore, the silent princesses act as an extension to Zelda's character, as these flowers do an excellent job in symbolizing the growth of Zelda as a character. The Silent Princess isn't just the only thing to represent Zelda's character, as the name, Breath of the Wild, fits the theme of the game not only for gameplay reasons, but also with her character arc as a whole. Zelda could not develop her powers domestically, and instead, she took in a Breath of the Wild in order to reawaken her true purpose. Overall, Zelda's character arc was incredibly well made, and is the main reason why this game's story stuck out to me like no other game from the series. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first time doing a video like this, and it took a crazy amount of time to put together. I would really appreciate it if you guys could like the video and subscribe if you haven't already to support the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.